Good afternoon, everybody. We'll be starting promptly in 1 minute, 4 o'clock, and looking forward to answering all your GED questions shortly. Well, welcome to our webinar. Our webinar today is titled Answers to the Top 20 GED Questions. Thank you for joining us. In general, homeschooling and alternative schooling and homeschooling, online schooling in general has seen exponential growth over the last few years. And we receive, as the GED office, many questions on a daily basis. Many new parents contact us as they're investigating homeschooling, and we get similar questions on a regular basis. And so we decided we would run this webinar to answer all these questions and allow you to ask any other questions that you may have. My name is Sean Swartz. I am the CEO of SK Education Solutions. SK Education Solutions is actually the official office of the GED throughout Africa. So when you think of the GED, you're really talking to us. And a special welcome to all our new students and parents and prospective students and parents for the GED. Today, we're very privileged to have both Lindsay and Angela with us. They are both experts in the GED and will be answering all your questions. We are live on YouTube, and the comments facility has been made available to you to post your questions. So please feel free to type your questions in the comments facility. We will be monitoring these questions, and we will try our best to ensure we answer all your questions. And just before we jump into answering all your questions, I just wanted to give a very high-level overview of what the GED is for those that are brand new to the GED. And so the GED was created in 1942. We have over 20 million graduates, and it was initially designed as a second chance opportunity for people that weren't able to finish their school career. These days, many students choose it as their first option and not just necessarily their second opportunity. The GED comprises of 4 main exams that combines multiple subjects together. The GED includes the following exams: English, maths, science, and social studies. These exams are available throughout the year, and you can write them whenever you're ready. The GED is recognized as the closest equivalent to the grade 12 in South Africa, and is recognized by SACWA accordingly. And I think it's time we should just jump straight into the questions. So, just one last reminder, please type in your comments in the questions facility. So I'm just going to ask the questions, and I'm going to let either Lindsay or Angela answer them accordingly. So the one that we get the most often is, can I study at university with a GED? And obviously specifically, because we're dealing mainly in South Africa and Africa, is, can I study at a university with a GED in South Africa?
So what I'll do is I'll actually jump in and answer this question. So SACWA, the South African Qualifications Authority, they evaluate the GED, and they evaluate it as being the closest comparable qualification to the National Senior Certificate at grade 12. Now, if a student wants to study at a government university in South Africa, you would also need complete or conditional exemption USAF, who's University of South Africa, is not giving that foreign conditional exemption to South African students anymore, but that doesn't mean you can't study. Further, a lot of private tertiary institutions, such as Boston City campus, are accepting GED graduates in South Africa for degree, diploma, and higher certificate programs. And a lot of other institutions are accepting students for a higher certificate, and thereafter they can apply for a degree program to study at an institution. We must always remember that acceptance at a tertiary institution is at the discretion of the institution, meaning that the institution can decide to accept you or not, but the government universities, they generally follow what USAF says. So in a very long-winded way, we're saying if you want to study further in South Africa, look at your private colleges and universities over your government, you'll get in a lot easier.
And what about overseas universities and international and online?
So overseas, so 98% of American universities and colleges accept the GED. We know, and we've run 2 webinars with University of the People. They love GED students and they accept GED students. Many universities and colleges around the world, we know in Australia and New Zealand, they accept GED students with their SATs. So your options are very broad and you have a lot of options. It just depends what you want to study, where and how.
And also just to mention Namibia.
So Namibia, acceptance actually is at the discretion of each individual institution. They don't follow a regulatory body. Each individual university makes their own acceptance or admission decisions. Kenya, a lot of tertiary institutions accept the GED. The best is always to first contact the institution where you want to study and find out what their admission requirements are. You would generally contact the International Admissions Office because you've studied an international qualification being the GED.
And I also see that that Monia Fos in the chat facility has stated that there are some universities that definitely accept in Namibia as well. So have a look at the chat facility, you'll see some more information over there. Just a reminder, you can type in your comments and questions. Please click like to like the video so more people can see it and learn more about the GED. The next question is, what are the minimum requirements to study or to start studying the GED?
So essentially the students only need to be 17 to write the GED exam. When they're 17, they still have to get a consent form signed by their parents or their guardians, giving them the authority to write the GED exam. We do generally, though, suggest that students doing the GED has a minimum of a grade 10 or equivalent to a grade 10 education, purely because of, I think, the math at the end of the day could be quite challenging for students who have anything less than a grade 10. And then obviously they need to be proficient in English. The GED is critical reading, critical thinking. So they have to have a good understanding of English in order to write the GED exam.
And we get asked a lot by students who've traditionally homeschooled who haven't possibly followed grades going up. There is a pre-GED bridging course then if a student doesn't have formal grades in their background or doesn't have a grade 10. And it really looks at the basics. It starts at the basics of maths and English and builds a student up to the level they need to be to start the GED. And it also helps them with starting to acquire those critical thinking, argumentative writing skills that are so important in the GED.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's really important that critical thinking skills are now included in the GED. I mean, it is the future. No one expects you to learn anything off by heart anymore. I mean, if you just don't know something, you ask Google. And so most important is actually the thinking skills. And so that brings me to the next question is what are the subjects that you study in the GED?
So Sean, we have English. English is made up of 3 subjects. We have the reading part and the language part and the writing part, where the students are expected to write an essay. Social studies. Social studies is American and world history and economics. And then we have science, which is very much life sciences. And then we have math. Important, again, for the students to understand that all these subjects are critical reading. They have to be able to read a passage, understand a passage, and find an answer in a passage, and even the math. In the math, reading the question and understanding what the question is asking of you, and then being able to get to the answer.
And that brings me to the next question, which I think we get every single day. And that is, thank you for telling me about the subjects that are available in the GED, but can I choose other subjects?
No, these are the only subjects, and you have to pass each of those subjects in order to qualify for the accreditation.
And I think if I link it out, purely I'm thinking it because I had a question this morning from someone, is if you have like dyscalculia or something, I know I pronounced it wrong, the GED is not going to give you exemption from writing your maths paper. You have to write and pass all 4 tests to achieve your GED diploma. If you need a testing accommodation, such as extra time, a reader, scribe, extra breaks, you can apply for a testing accommodation, but you won't get exempt from any of the tests.
Correct.
And then I would also get the same question again, that is, can I just do 1 or 2 subjects? I only want to do English and maths.
Again, you have to do all 4 in order to qualify for the accreditation.
Okay. So that brings me to the next question relating to the test, and that is, when can I write my exams?
So Sean, there aren't any specific times that students have to write exams. Students can write exams when they are ready for an exam. So they book their exam on their GED.com profile, and they book it at their closest or nearest Boston City campus or Pearson's View Testing Center, and it gives them the dates that are available, and they can then book it for that date and go and write it. So there aren't any specific dates that they have to go and write exams.
So that means that stress levels just come way down, because you don't have to worry about writing all your exams over a period of 1 week. You can literally study 1 subject at a time. When you're ready to write the exam, you write it.
Yeah, and another question that frequently comes up, Sean, is there a specific time period? Must I write the exam within 1 year, all the exams? No. If it takes you 2 years, it's fine. Essentially, we suggest that the students do it within 1 year, but if some students are very busy, you know, they don't get the time to really, and they want to do 2 subjects a year, yes, they can. They can, you know, it does not expire. They can write the exam, and if they've written one subject and they want to write the next subject next year, that is fine.
Okay. And related to that, I see there's a question that's just come in from Lorna Warren, and that is, what happens if a student doesn't pass the exam?
So if a student doesn't pass the exam, they can write an exam 3 times. After the 3rd attempt, if they fail again, they have to wait 60 days before they can book the exam again. And every time after that, if they fail, they have to wait 60 days to book the exam and write the exam again.
But essentially, you can keep writing.
For sure.
There may be time periods that you have to wait, but it's not like you're restricted to a certain amount of times. You can keep writing until you pass.
And something also to mention, Sean, it's also a question that comes up a lot of times. Do we pay the same fee if we rewrite the exam? Yes, unfortunately, there's no discount. If you fail the exam and you want to rewrite it, you pay the full exam fee.
Which is what?
$80. It's equivalent to more or less 1,300 rands.
Okay. And then another one that we get all the time is, can I write my exams at home, online?
No, you can't. So some students occasionally see that you can do online proctored exams. That is only available in certain states within America. But exams can only be written at an accredited GED View testing center.
So you need to go to a center. It is impossible to write the exam online, no matter who you are or what the problems are. It is literally impossible outside of America to write your exams online. I see there's a question from Marty. What's the passing rate for each subject, for each exam?
So the passing rate is 145 out of 200. So anything under 145 is a fail. If you fail with 1 mark, it's a fail. Unfortunately, you have to go and do revision and then write the exam again.
But Angela, I failed literally my exam with 1 mark. Can't you just push me up and to a pass mark?
Unfortunately not. You know, it would question the GED's credibility if they passed a student who failed with 1 mark. So no, the GED will not consider giving the student an extra mark to let them pass.
But instead of rewriting the exam, can't I just send it off to have a remark?
Sean, the only test that the GED, because remember, these are multiple choice questions. So there is only one answer. It doesn't matter how many times you remark the test. If the student chose the wrong answer, the same result is going to come up. So the only test that they will consider remarking is the RLA test, purely because of the essay. So they will remark the essay. There is a cost involved though. It costs $50 to have the essay remarked. If the GED comes back with a higher score, they will then refund the student the $50. However, if the score remains the same, then the student does not get refunded the $50.
Angela and Lindsay, question for both of you. Out of all the years that you have been working with the GED and remarks have been sent for the essay, for the English essay, how many times has the mark gone up?
Yeah, I must admit, I've never seen the mark changed, and that's because it's marked so thoroughly the first time, which is generally why we don't recommend students, because we understand $50 is a lot of money when you convert it to rands.
And I'd also like to mention there, Sean, remember, the essay is only 20% of the final score. So you really have to get an additional probably 3 points extra on your essay for that to really affect the overall score at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay, good. So we don't recommend sending in for remarks. Lindsay, can I study to become a teacher once I've got my GED?
Yes, you can in South Africa. So we've actually met with the registrar of the IIE group, they, your Varsity College, Rosebank College, I think also Stadio College, they accept students. You can do a higher certificate in ECD, which is early childhood development. And from there, you can progress on to a bachelor in education to study multiple levels to be a teacher.
Good, good. So that's quite exciting for anybody that wants. Very often we get the following comment. I work all day. I can't attend classes. Can I still study and get my GED?
Yes, for sure. The learning materials online. So students, whenever they have a chance, they can go online and work through the learning material. There's no given time that they have to go and work through the online learning. So it's extremely flexible. Like I say, when you have to write your exams is very flexible. The online learning is very flexible. So yes, for sure. If you have 2 hours in the evenings at 8 to 10, absolutely you can pass the GED within a year if you spend 2 hours on your online learning daily.
Great. And Lindsay, for you, is the GED recognized in both South Africa and Namibia?
Yes. And why I say yes is because the South African Qualifications Authority and the Namibian Qualifications Authority have evaluated and they equate it to the NQF level 4 qualification of the National Senior Certificate. So in South Africa, Namibia, and around the world, it's recognized.
Very good. My next question is, it's actually not a question. We get this all the time, and it's a comment. They say, I see one of the subjects you need to do is science. I've never studied science before, or I've never been good at science. What can I do?
So Sean, like I said earlier, the GED is critical reading, critical thinking. So even the science subject, critical reading, you get a passage or an image, and you have to answer a question on that passage or image. And it's very important for students to understand that the GED doesn't care about your personal previous experiences or your personal opinions, or you can only use what they give you in the passage or the image or the graph or the chart. This is where you have to find your answer. So yes, in science, there are some calculations that have to be done, mathematical calculations that have to be done, but you don't need to go and learn, you know, what the different formulas are. It's all just being able to read a question, understand what you're reading, and going and finding your answer in the passage or the image that they provide.
Okay. So essentially, it doesn't actually matter if you've never done any of the subjects before, because you're really learning from scratch how to think critically and how to read critically. And once you can do that, you're going to be fine. It's just they're just testing you on different topics.
Yes.
Okay. Just a reminder, everybody, please type in your additional questions that you have into the chat facility, and we will get to them as well. Here's a fun one, but we do get it often, is there a matric dance for all the GED students?
As much as we would love to do it, with the GED being so broad across the African region, we don't have one. I do know that there are quite a few homeschooling groups who do some socials, be it drama, arts and crafts. So that's possibly something to join, but in terms of the GED, unfortunately, we don't. We do have our online graduations every month, but no face-to-face dances.
Okay. Here's another one, and that is, if I write my GED exams in South Africa, is everything still accepted regarding my certificate and my exam results if I go live overseas in America or anywhere else?
So the GED curriculum and the exams you write are actually the same. It's the same curriculum, same exams written all around the world. If you were to be studying in America, you would write the same exams. It would just depend what state is on your certificate. Internationally, the Washington awards the international GED students, but it's the same exam, which means it has the same recognition, credibility around the world.
Yeah, okay, very good. Now, can you just, I'm not even going to ask this as a question, I'm just going to ask you to just explain what the GED Ready test is and why we feel it's so important.
So Sean, the Ready test is, it's a benchmark to see if the students are actually ready for the exam. Remember, the exam is expensive. It's 1,300 Rand for an exam, and it's a lot of money to lose if a student fails. So the Ready test mimics, or it gives the student a very good idea of what to expect from the exam. So the way that you see it in the Ready test is how it is presented to you in the actual exam. So it does help the student to understand, because everything is computerized, to understand how it gets delivered to them. And then if the student passes the Ready test, and we generally suggest a score of about 155, then they should be okay to book their exam. I just need to mention, it's not a guarantee that they're going to pass the exam. Okay, but it is a very good indication whether the student is ready. So it's like prelims to whether the student is ready for the exam. And again, like I say, it does put the student a little bit in an exam situation, so that they expect or they know what to expect from the exam.
Yeah. Okay. I see a question's coming from Lorna asking what's the cost for the online. I'm assuming it's referring to the online content. I think I'll just answer that. So essentially, the costs really begin at about approximately 3,000 Rand, and then it goes up from there, depending on what it is that you're actually buying and which school you're buying it from and what the features and the benefits of that particular school. If you're looking for recommendations of different schools, please feel free to email us on info@ged.org.za. Depending on which country you're from, depending on what you're looking for, we can happily recommend different providers. There's also a question from Taryn. Lindsay, I'll leave this one to you, and that is it correct that in the UK you can only write exams once you're 18 years old and not 17?
So the testing age, generally the international testing age is 18, except where it's been changed in certain countries. So South Africa, Namibia, Kenya, the testing age has been reduced to 17 years old, but it's always important to check the testing age per country. So the testing age of the country where you're writing is the age that will be applied to you. So it's probably is 18 in the UK.
Okay, so outside of certain African countries that we're dealing with, it's 18. Okay, very good. Let's jump into the next question. Can I use a calculator for the maths exam?
Yes, of course you can use a calculator, but you cannot take your own personal calculator. So for students who are studying with essential education, the calculator, the online calculator that they have on essential education is the same as the one that they will have in the exam. because they get given an on-screen calculator in the actual exam. Half of the exam, they can't have a calculator, so the calculator gets taken away from them. They don't have access to it on the screen, and they can actually go and have a look. If they've created a GED.com profile and they click on the study tab and they go to math, it actually has a nice tutorial on the calculator that is used in the exam. So they can work through that to give them a very good idea of what calculator is in the exam. But unfortunately, no personal calculators are allowed in the actual exam.
Even if I get the exact correct calculator that the GED tell me about, can't I bring that one in?
Unfortunately, no. So we do suggest to students that even while they're studying, if they're using essential education, use the online calculator. Do not use your own personal calculator. Get used to using that online calculator, because you're not allowed taking a calculator into the test center at all.
Okay. Now, going back to these GED Ready tests that you recommended highly, when I write, obviously they're a lot cheaper than using than paying for the final exams. Now, the question relating specifically to the GED tests and the exams, both of them, is why can't I see which questions I got wrong so that I can help improve on my marks the next time I write the test?
So Sean, the GED does give feedback on ready tests and on student exams. If a student fails an exam, they do get feedback from the GED. Remember, the GED, we're not learning like a parrot. So we're learning skills. So you're going to get completely different questions in the exam. You will not get that same question in the exam. So you need to learn the skill to actually go. So the feedback that the GED gives the students is telling them which skills they need to concentrate on. So yes, they get feedback, but they don't see the actual questions that they got wrong, because they need to go and they need to work on that specific skill. Because if they get a different question, they need to have the skill to be able to find the answer.
Okay. So essentially, through the GED.com portal, you can see what topics you went wrong in and which ones you need to improve on, but not specific questions.
Correct.
And that's both for GED Ready as well as the final exams.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's acceptable. I see there's a question from Lorna Warren, and that is there tutoring online? Yes, there is tutoring online. Again, just email us on info@ged.org.za and we'll refer you accordingly. Lucille's asking, can you get access to previous exams, or really past papers?
Sean, unfortunately not. Again, it's not going to assist the student, because again, the student is not learning answers to a specific question. So no, there are not previous exam papers that the students can get, but we suggest that students do as many practice tests as possible. So there's lots of GED. They can Google free practice tests online. There's a lot of online material where they can go and they can do free practice tests. So this is what we suggest: do as many practice tests as possible, because that will definitely assist you in learning those skills, how to actually get to the answer.
Okay, very good. I think that's really important. Now, Lindsay, how do I convert my GED to an NQF level 4?
So that is the process that we spoke about that SAQA does, the South African Qualifications Authority, or if you're in Namibia, the Namibian Qualifications Authority. On the ged.org.za website, under resources, we've got a step-by-step how-to guide on how to apply to SAQA, how to apply to the NQA. So just go onto that website, follow the process. Obviously, the NQA and SAQA, being in different countries, have slightly different processes. If for any reason with SAQA, if you haven't heard back from SAQA after 3 months, come to us and we will help you with escalating it. We can't guarantee anything, but we can at least try and help you with escalating it through our escalation channel that we've established with SAQA.
Okay. And so once again, the website to go to is ged.org.za. That's the website where you can get a huge amount of information and a whole range of resources and how-to documents on how to apply to SAQA and how to apply to the NQA, on how to book for an exam, on how to download your diploma, whatever it may be. There's a whole range of very useful information on the ged.org.za website. So I've studied, I've gone to write my exam. How do I get my final exam marks?
Sean, the final exam marks are posted on the student's GED.com profile. So once they've written the exam, when they get home, they can log into their profile. It should for math, social studies, and for science, the scores should be up probably within 3 hours. English might take a little bit longer because they have to mark the essay, but they should receive their scores within 72 hours.
Okay, and so just go into the GED.com profile, you'll see your exam marks there. And obviously, once you've graduated, once you've passed all 4 exams, then you're able to download not only your diploma, but also an official transcript. And again, on the ged.org.za website, we have an information guide that tells you step by step how to download your transcript, which will give you your final marks.
Correct.
How do I contact you if I've got a problem? I can't book my exam, or I can't find my marks, or I can't download my diploma. How do I contact you?
So there's actually multiple ways to make contact with us. You can either contact us by email, as you mentioned, on info@ged.org.za, through our website on www.ged.org.za, or you can send us a message throughout one of our Facebook pages, either GED South Africa, GED Namibia, GED Kenya, or GED Chat. So there's really a lot of different ways you can contact us. You can also phone us on 011-728-0212.
Okay, so there's multiple forms of getting hold of us. I do also want to add that we run a free Facebook GED chat group where we already have over 6,000 GED parents, GED students, and prospective students from all over the world. And all of these, this community ask questions, and the community answers the questions. And so there's a huge amount of information available there. And we encourage you to go and follow or to join the GED chat group. It's really full of information, and you're able to answer questions. You usually get a whole range of different responses very quickly from the chat group. So I highly recommend joining that group. On the chat facility here, we're putting the link to that chat group as well. And we will also include it in an email when we send out the recording for this webinar. Lindsay and Angela, do you regarding the GED at the moment?
Sorry, you broke up there, Sean?
You broke up a little bit, Sean, sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, do you have anything else to add regarding the GED before we end off? I
just think something is, if a student for any reason wants to reschedule their test, they need to do it before the 24-hour window of the actual test date and time. And another thing is if for any reason a student's test is interrupted, be it load shedding, technical issues, anything like that, the test center will log a case. And then the student is welcome to contact us with their case number and their GED ID number, and we can help them escalate it to America for either a free retest voucher or anything. Unfortunately, occasionally technical issues happen or ESCOM happens, but there are steps in place to ensure that you, at the end of the day, we can rebook that test and get you to rewrite it.
On that note also, Lindsay, students also have the option to cancel their exams, but we strongly suggest that they don't. If for any reason they can't write the exam, or they feel they're not ready for the exam, rather reschedule it for next month. Because if you do cancel your exam, you get refunded at the current rate of exchange. So there's rate of exchange charges. It takes about 10 working days for the fees to be refunded to your account. So, you know, if you can avoid canceling an exam, rather cancel it. And also something very important to mention, exam on your GED.com profile. The profile allows you to book multiple exams at the same time. Please don't do that. Okay, because if you book multiple exams at the same time, it actually schedules all those exams for the same day at the same time, and it's impossible to reschedule, to move one. If you reschedule one, it actually reschedules all those exams that you booked at the same time. So rather book one exam, pay for it, and then you go and book the next exam.
I don't think you should be punishing yourself in writing 2 exams on the same day anyway. So don't do that. Just book one exam, write it, pass it, move on to the next one. But I think what you say is really, really important is if you want to cancel in order to rebook it at a later stage, just reschedule it immediately. It's going to cost you a lot less money. You're not going to have to worry about credit card fees and refund fees and everything else. So I think that's a really great tip. And with that, it's going on nearly 45 minutes. So I just want to thank everybody for coming and asking your questions, and you, Angela and Lindsay, of your time for answering your questions and all your expertise. If anyone has any other questions at any time, please feel free to just contact us on info@ged.org.za. We're here to answer your questions and to help you. So if you've got any help, if you need any help, just let us know. We're here for you. And on that note, have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Good evening.